fellow romance readers, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and this is Post-Book Depression. You know that feeling you get when you finish a good book that you didn't want to end?
Have you finished a book and just weren't ready to move on from the story and its beloved characters? You find yourself needing just a little more? This multi-trope romance podcast gives you the opportunity to dig deeper with us into books we love as we discuss all the reasons we can't move on.
Feeling chatty? You can continue the conversation with us on Instagram at Post-Book Depression Podcast or on Facebook in our Post-Book Depression discussion group.
We would be so grateful if you would subscribe to our podcast and take a moment to leave a review.
Are you ready? Let's discuss.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah.
We are going to be doing another mini episode today, and we just thought we would chat about some of our most read authors that we read lots of books of, or we have read a lot of books of, and just kind of talk through, maybe give some recommendations from those authors of books that we really loved about them. Hey Sarah.
Hey Amy.
Let's jump in. Do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to?
You go ahead.
I went back through my list. Now, this goes back to as long as I've been tracking books, which, let me clarify, has only been about 4 or 5 years, but that was really when my reading journey with romance books started. So I didn't really read a lot of the same author way back before I started tracking. So I'm going to start with Janet Evanovich. I've read 33 of her books.
Wow.
Now. She does have the Stephanie Plum series, which she's very well known for, and I've read 26 out of those. Let me just clarify on this series, if you've read one, you've read them all.
Yeah.
They're basically the same vibe, because you've read some, right?
I've read a few, and then I kind of got that
they
were repetitive, but I thoroughly enjoy them. I love them.
They're a good comedic relief. They have a lot of humorous reprieve from any angsty stories, so if you need a little break from some drama, you can check that out. But what I really love about Janet Evanovich is her Fox and O'Hare series, which she co-wrote with Lee Goldberg. This series, I think it's only like 4 books or something. It's not very lengthy series. Is about an FBI special agent. She chases down the world's most wanted criminals. And then the male main character, Nicholas Fox, he's this charming con man notorious for running these elaborate scams on very high profile people. And he makes this deal with the FBI to partner with her to solve these crimes. So this really reminds me of the show White Collar, which I think is why I loved it so much.
I'm going to have to check this series out.
And the chemistry and the banter between the two MCs, chef's kiss, it's so good. And it's a delight. Anything Janet writes, she's putting humor into it, which we love as well.
Okay, I'm totally checking that one out.
It's a really good time.
I love White Collar. You said White Collar, I am sold. That is like my comfort show. I love that show. Okay, so like Amy, I have not been tracking how many authors I've been reading and who and what for very long. So I think mine has really just been probably a few months before we started our podcast.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit longer. So I can't go way back. But my top is Julie Ann.
She's my second top.
I knew she was going to get there.
You talk first. Okay.
So you introduced me. So I've read 26 of hers. I still haven't. Now, you've read everything she's put out. I haven't, because we've gotten kind of into the podcast episodes and I'm trying to explore other authors too. But at the same time, she's one of those. So I binged everything she had.
Right.
Because Amy and I read her together. She read it and then she reread it with me and then we binged her together. I stopped because, friend, I found myself binging all of our favorite authors and then being sad and like laying down sad because I'm in a slump because I just want to read all of their stuff. So I actually have the last few of hers that I'm waiting for the opportune moment to binge again. Does that make sense?
It does. Tell me your favorites.
The two series that I love, the Jack and Jill series, which is what you introduced me to. So I know you're going to share about that. I'll let you kind of do a little
blurb about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other one is the Fisherman Duet.
Oh, that was a good one.
That story. Age gap romance. Yes, please.
Yes, sign me up.
So good. The thing I love about Julie Ann is, first of all, she is incredibly funny, but she has so much depth when she writes. Yes. She can write with such depth. And when you take an author, if you show me an author or introduce me to an author, if you introduce me to an author who can make me laugh, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But there's so much heart and there's so much depth to the story, I am sold. So Julie Ann She's top.
I also, another reason I really like her writing is all of her books are different.
Yes.
They're all superb, but the storylines, they don't cross over really.
No.
She has a completely different vibe for each one of them. And I just found myself, like you, I binged her story. I've read 32 as of this moment.
Yes.
Of her books. The Jack and Jill trilogy, we've talked on the show about that a lot because we're huge fans of it. It's, in fact, this is one that I read, finished, and immediately reread.
With me. Because
Yes.
you said, you have to read this.
Because it's so good. It's about a brother and sister duo who witness their parents' funeral and their own. And then they're stripped away, basically, of the life that they've known. They move, they change their identities. It's kind of like witness protection, almost, except they kind of have some secrets of their own. After they move, they're trying not to draw attention to themselves, but Jill, the female main character, is so feisty and full of sass, and she spars off with this senior master sergeant that lives next door. So of course, things are going to be happening, sparks are going to fly with her sass and her feistiness. And then Jack, her brother, stirs up trouble with an older single mom in the town, and of course, drama and angst ensue.
It's so good. I love it.
I have a couple more from hers that I really like. Before Us, I've mentioned on the show before, it's about a young maid who gets caught by her client sleeping in her car, and then she ends up moving in with him and his dying wife. She makes a fast connection with his wife, and she never expects to fall for the wife's grieving husband after she passes. This is an emotional story, so Julianne does a good balance of emotional and heart, but also comedic relief and drama mixed together. So this one is heavy on the grief process and healing and finding your way through that. So basically, if you want to read this one, make sure you're in a good mood when you're wanting to step into this one, but it is so moving and heartfelt. I love it. And then, like you mentioned, you haven't read this, but the Sunday Morning series is one of her newest series. It's a trilogy that she has. The first book is basically an age gap forbidden cowboy romance. It's about a preacher's daughter who's drawn to her boyfriend's older brother, and he's the bad boy of this small town. So lots of good little micro tropes in this one.
Ooh, love it.
I'm a fan. Okay, so my next one, so I had Janet and then I had Jewel. I have Mia Sheridan coming in as a top. I've read 19 of her stories. She's probably on your list.
I've got it right behind you. I actually had a tie for her, so I'm 18 with her, and I have a tie.
So obviously the Where Duet, I'm sure, is on yours. Because
that's it.
That is our favorite. That is our favorite Mia Sheridan story. We've talked about the Where Duet multiple times over the 3 years that we've done the show. It's a dual timeline, romantic suspense. It's about a teenage girl in the past tense who gets captured, and she's held prisoner for like 10 months or something before she escapes. And then in the present timeline, several years into the future, there's another case that's similar to hers that shows up, and so she works with the officer in charge of that case to try and solve the mystery. Now, one of the things that we've repeatedly said for this story is that Mia just has this phenomenal way of making you feel emotional for characters that you shouldn't, and this story definitely does that. And I would be remiss not to mention that this story was actually, I would say, we credit as being the driving force for catapulting us to this podcast.
Yeah.
The discussion that came from that story when we read it together years ago really drove us to talk about doing this podcast more seriously. So we credit that to
Absolutely.
it. What's another Mia one that you have?
Kyland.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is one of my favorites. Takes place in the Appalachian Mountains.
Don't you just want to go there? I mean, not necessarily where they are. Just
Yes,
because of the
but I also
circumstances.
think of like the scary stories of the Appalachian Mountains. Like if you hear like, you know the scary stuff that they talk about. Anyway, but yes, this story, yes, I do. It's about two young teenagers. They kind of have a little romance. There's a scholarship. One gets out of the Appalachian, goes on to have their education, comes back. It's a whole just incredible love story. I think about this one all the time.
Do you?
I really do. There's actually a piece of property that I drive by frequently that in my mind's eye, I know I'm not in the Appalachian Mountains when I'm driving by. I know we're in Oklahoma. Hello. But in my head, that's where Kyland lived. And so I think about it, and I think about the story, which leads me to the other one. And I'm not going to go into great detail about all their stories because I want you all to read them. But my other one is also from the Signs of Love series, where she kind of has all of them. That's where Archer comes from and all that. Is
And those are all standalones, too.
They're all standalone, yes. But this one is actually, you read one, you need to read the other.
Okay.
It's Becoming Calder
So good.
and Finding Eden.
Oh, so good.
And all I will say is, what if you woke up and realized you were a part of a cult?
Oh, that's a good lead in.
So, and then your whole life kind of turns upside down. This is an incredible, heartbreaking duet. I have to say, one of the things I love about Mia Sheridan, and Amy has already said this, she makes you feel things. And when I say that, when I think of the story, I still kind of, in the pit of my stomach, there's a scene that I think about that makes me physically ache still. As though I'm witnessing this before me, what these characters go through. It's just, she's such a phenomenal author.
She really
I could
is.
talk about her all day.
Well, I have another one of hers, Once We Were Starlight, and this
So
one
good.
isn't really talked about much. The topic is pretty heavy. It is a form of trafficking organization, but it is such a beautiful story, and it has stayed with me years after I finished it. It's about a young guy and girl who are part of this organization. They manage to escape, and it really is how they handle their lives on the outside once they find freedom. And I really appreciated Mia's depiction of the story because it sheds light on the struggle and what people face after living through such a traumatic circumstance in a way that I'm not sure many people think about.
Yeah.
And that also invoked some discussion and conversation between you and I after we had read it.
So many of hers. I want to just go through all of her lists of the ones.
Right.
But we won't. We don't have time. So yeah, so she was one of mine. So my second top was not Mia Sheridan. My second is Carla Sorensen.
Oh, okay. You love Carla. Oh my gosh.
love her.
So let me side note. When Sarah got to meet Carla at Book Bonanza, I have never been more excited to be a fly on a wall than to witness the interaction between Sarah and Carla. It was so special.
I have to tell you guys, I did not realize that I was like a fangirl. Okay, I really didn't. Like, I feel like I'm pretty, like, I say I'm pretty. On the inside, I'm totally freaking out. For the most part, I'm pretty chill. Those who know me really well can see on my face. And I was totally calm throughout all of Book Bonanza, like meeting these authors I've read, all these interactions. And when I saw her, I don't know what happened. It just, something came over me and I was giddy out of my mind.
It was a privilege to witness.
But here's what I have to say. Why I love Carla so much. I have two that I love. So I've read 22 of her stories.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know.
love
I
that.
think I'm only missing a couple. And I
think
feel
I've
like
only
I'm not
read-
even a super fan because I haven't read those, but I am a super
You
fan.
are a super fan
I'm a super
for sure.
fan.
You need a badge.
I love her.
I have only read one of her stories, and it was the one we
Shame
covered
on
the
you.
show. I know. I have plenty in my TBR. Trust me.
Okay. She has two series that I am obsessed. Talking the day they release, I download, I'm reading.
Okay.
And everybody can leave me alone until it's over. So she spends however long writing these stories, and I crush it in a day. Is the Ward Sister series. It's about 4 sisters, and you get each of their stories, and they marry the most delicious men.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I'm just
Sign me up.
athletes, because she's all about, a lot of her stories revolve around football.
Okay.
American and European football. She's got a couple of
So maybe a good fall
soccer.
read?
You can, sure. Yeah, a good fall read, yeah. And the other is the Wilder family series.
Okay.
And it follows these siblings. So it's a blended, the Wilder family is a blended family.
Okay.
They're all adult children and stuff, but their parents are just amazing. And they intertwine. So all these connections. So like some of these characters are married to some of the Ward characters. And
This
it's just
sounds
the
right.
Washington Wolves family tree. It's just like glorious. Like I could put this on my wall.
I was say this sounds right up your alley. You love
makes me
all
so
the
happy.
relationships.
And it's comfort. She is, think of your favorite comfort food. That's what her stories feel like to me. It's comfort. I just feel like I'm witnessing my family meet the loves of their lives. And their parents are just so amazing. And the stories are so good. And then there's football players. Guys.
So if I had to pick between one of the two series to read first.
No. Oh, first. Was like, you don't choose. It's like picking a
First.
favorite child.
Prioritizing.
The Ward The Ward family.
The Ward family.
I would read the Ward family. But then I would tell you that you can't stop there. You have to go down the trickle of like the bombshell effect, and you have to figure out how like all these others. And then you could go to the Wilder family because, and here's why. You need to follow she's got a whole family tree.
I'm sure she does.
So you start with the Ward sisters. You could probably start with one of the other series, but I started with the Ward sisters and then I went to the others. And you have to read that side because the Wilder family intersects with these other families.
Okay. So you have to get the basis
so
for the
good.
Ward family first.
The Ward family's so good. And I have to say that the fourth and final one was my favorite.
Okay.
The first and the last were my favorite. The two in the middle, I loved them, but they are not my favorite sisters. They were great stories. They're great stories. I love the stories. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't like them. But I liked the fourth one the best. Anyway, she's just really awesome. She's just really awesome. You'll know when you read.
They are on my TBR because I've heard you talk about them so much and know how passionate you are about them.
You knew the second that you saw my interaction with her, you're like, wow.
Yes.
I'm missing something clearly.
Well, I have one more author that I want to talk about, and that's Emma Scott. And I've read 18 of her books now. Is she on your list too?
She's my tie with Mia Sheridan, 18.
Friend.
I know.
I love that. Okay, so one thing that Emma's stories focus on, they're very heavy. They're very angsty. She is one of my favorites for making me cry.
Yes.
I cry a lot in her stories. I have 3 books that I want to talk about for Emma Scott. First is the Full Tilt Duet. Mm-hmm. It is one of her more popular ones. You see that all over social media. It's about this young woman who's a guitarist for an up-and-coming band, and she struggles with alcohol-soaked path of this rock stardom, basically. Mm-hmm. And after a show in Vegas, she wakes up hungover and doesn't remember how she ended up on the couch of her limo driver. And they form an immensely deep connection, but he has secrets of his own, friend, and he is hiding those. This is the perfect story if you need a good sinus cleanse.
Yeah.
I bawled my eyes out.
I did too.
This
one made me have that constant ache in the pit of my stomach the entire time I read it.
Mm-hmm. But I still highly recommend it.
Same.
Second is the Beautiful Hearts Duet.
Yep.
This is an emotional, angsty military duet with a type of a love triangle in it.
A little bit.
And it made it in my top 10 reads the year that I read it, and it is so good. Mm-hmm. And the final one, I mean, I've read almost all of her works, but the third one I want to recommend is A 5-Minute Life. And this one is about a young woman. After she has an accident, she's left with the second worst documented case of amnesia in the world. And she was once an artist. She now only has minutes of experiences of consciousness before her memory is wiped clean. I mean, can you even imagine? The orderly in the sanatorium where she's being cared for, he makes a connection with her and believes that she would be a good candidate for an experimental surgery. It has a 51st Dates vibe to it, but It was very beautiful, very emotional. I cried, but it was good.
I did too. So I would flip those as far as my top because the Beautiful Hearts Duet, because I read Emma Scott, she's the one, 18 as well, reads of hers. The Beautiful Hearts was my top. I think about that one a lot. So and then Full Tilt. And I second that 5-Minute Life. That's really good. I didn't put that on my list, but it's so good.
So good. Why don't you finish us out with one more author?
Okay. So my, would it be my third? 1, 2, 3, fourth. We're going to say fourth place because Emma Scott and Mia Sheridan tied. Dorinda Jones. I've read 15 of her books. Now, with that being said, it was all a series. It was the Charlie Davidson series. You introduced me to this series. She kind of has a little bit of that Janet
Ivanovich.
Yes, Ivanovich vibe. It is so good. There are 2 characters in there that are like Lorelai and Suki from Gilmore Girls that I was just gobbling up their humor and their banter back and forth. It's an interesting story. It's great during Halloween time.
It's paranormal.
Yeah, it's paranormal. And we read it in September into October. I love it.
It's so good. I love that series so much. It's phenomenal.
Too.
I would also second that and highly recommend.
Yeah. And we've got more authors, so
we do. We have plenty more authors and plenty more recommendations. If you haven't read some of these and they pique your interest, we would love to know if you read them. because we recommended it, or if you've read them and what you thought about them. If you have authors you'd like to recommend to us, or maybe your top authors that you've read, let us know. We'd love to hear some feedback from you, and we'd love to connect with you on our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Postbook Depression Podcast, on Facebook in our Postbook Depression discussion group. You can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time, keep reading.